Hi, Kamala. We're about to get started in just a moment. We're just getting adjusted to the audio. I hope I pronounced your name right. I always feel bad. I am just going to get ready to ramble, and they'll hop in when they hop in.
hmm All right. Well, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, too.
I'm glad we made it. How was your week?
It was pretty good. Well, I was under the weather too, so I honestly had to reschedule a whole bunch of stuff. So next week, next week and the week after, probably gonna be a little busy, but it's like I needed this week to regroup. I was like, I don't know what happened. I don't even know how I got sick, but here we are. It's like,
Yeah.
luckily, my voice is back. I was like, I couldn't talk too much earlier this week. My throat was hurting. Just a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I have to tell you, almost everyone that I spoke with this week, which was a lot of HR professionals, are sick or getting over some kind of cold or something. So something is definitely in the air.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. Like, even on Facebook, I've been seeing everybody like, oh, I have to stop or I had to cancel this because I'm sick, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Apparently,
yeah.
the flu down here has been going around a lot. So, a lot of people have been sick with that. And apparently, there's like five different strands of it down here.
Oh,
So,
goodness. Oh,
yeah.
boy. Well, thank God it's Friday. So,
Yeah, thank God. I need this little break, especially with the
yes,
kids off
yes,
and stuff.
yes, indeed.
No, this is talking like a little gossip cooler thing for real. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and talk and get started, so that way people just hop in when they hop in. Hello, Miss
Yeah.
Denisha. Glad you can make it. I am just gonna kick it off. Lynetta, I'll just make sure you're not exercising your voice, but so much. So, just to get started, hello, I'm Adriana. I run the Lazy Millennial. I am a business process consultant. I mainly focus more so on the operation side. So I deal a lot with, of course, business processes, helping with the policies and all that good stuff, helping you draft out what you envision for the future. And Ms. Clementa, I'll go ahead and pass it to you so you can give us a little brief introduction and we'll just get this party started.
All right, all right. Yes, I'm Clonetta Frazier, the HR Whisperer. I'm the owner of Edmund Enterprises. We're an HR consulting firm, and we do everything from employee relations to recruiting, to training and workshop development. We do also offer offshore staffing to individuals, as well as help companies with their benefits and things. So we are our generalist in scope in its truest form.
Love it. All right. So we plan to keep this super laid back. So this is not like we're gonna be talking at you. And please do, if you want to come on up and give your 2 cents or say your opinions or what you heard, please come up. But being that said, we're gonna mainly start off with what I heard on the internet streets when it comes to interviewing and just talking to different people. So this is gonna be up your alley. So with the interview
Mhm.
process, I've been seeing posts about having the multiple rounds of interviews, people wanting to stop working or they have to do extra work on top of their interviews. How do you feel about that process? I feel like it's not that, I don't feel like it's the best, but I don't know. This isn't my realm too much. So
Well,
I want to
uh,
hear your thing about it.
well, I have to tell you, I've gotten feedback from candidates. It is a total turnoff. It can turn off a candidate from a company that they're really excited about, right? And so while I think that some companies they have their best interest in mind, right? And they think that they're doing their due diligence by having all of these, interviews and processes and steps. Again, I think it's hindering them from making good hires because they're losing candidates and they get frustrated. I actually came across a post from someone on LinkedIn a few weeks back, and I think I shot it over to you. Basically, she was saying that she withdrew her candidacy for a role. Now, this company that she was interviewing for, they were outrageous because not only did they have multiple steps of interviews, they also incorporated these. um, like scenario, like essay things that she
Yeah.
needed to work out. And to my surprise, as I read through the comments, I saw that this wasn't just an individual case. Like, there were other people in the comments that were saying that they had experienced similar things from companies, and they had a feeling like they felt almost used after the process because they felt like the company was using this to kind of like get some of their projects done or
Yeah.
to kickstart them. And
It's
that
funny.
was
I actually had
just,
that happen when I first started as a virtual assistant. Like there was like I didn't know no better. So I thought I had to do like this like real written thing. Like I had to do like a essay. So like she was looking for like a writer or something like that, a blog writer. So like we had to do like a sample content or something like that. I did
yes,
that, never got the job, and what ended up happening, she ended up ghosting me and apparently using mine and a couple other people's work for her blogs
yes,
and stuff. So it's learning life lessons. So I had to throw that in
yeah,
there. I was like, I didn't realize this was still like a huge thing, but
no. And I think
that's just
it's,
wild that it's happened. It's
yeah,
just
and
wild to me that happened.
I think with the number of interviews, it's gotten worse too, because I think
So
also
leading
for the
off of that,
I
there's
think for
another
the
question I
virtual
wanted to ask you
space,
around this realm, just because
yeah,
how I guess if someone were to, I guess for people that are looking for a job, like what advice would you give them when it I we can't change the companies. Like what advice would you give them if they do have a company they have in mind that actually like them? Like, do you recommend them asking any questions to like the employer, like why I don't want to say why there's so many interviews, but like to
no.
kind of like help them stand out a little bit more and possibly get things moving faster? I don't know.
Well, I think
I'm
it's
totally
good.
let's talk about my behind right now, but so I would ask.
No, I think it's good practice, and I think it's completely acceptable after that first one or two interviews to just inquire,
You there, Clint?
about the process. So, what will the process look like? Because that's also going to give you insight
Okay,
as
she
to
probably
whether
stepped
or
away for just
not.
a brief moment. So when she comes back, I will go ahead and ask her that question again. So, well,
Oh,
while she is coming back, oh, there you are.
oh, my apologies. I accidentally muted myself. I was going good. I was talking good. Well, no, okay. So I heard your question, right? Should candidates ask? I actually think it's a good practice to, like, during either that first or second interview, it's so completely acceptable to ask like what the process is going to be, and that's your way of asking, a little bit kind of in a non-poignant way, like basically how many interviews, like what are you guys going to take me through, right? And then that's also going to give you insight as to whether or not they are organized and they have like really thought through their recruiting and hiring process, or if they are kind of a hot mess because if as you go through the process and you see that what you were told doesn't match, that kind of gives you a clue, right, as to what you're walking into.
Okay, good to know. So asking questions definitely it should be a good practice. People should practice.
Yeah, just do it tactfully, right? Do it professionally and
Yeah.
tactfully. There's a way to ask without outright asking, per se. But I think that, like for companies, I think perhaps maybe a good three to four interviews. Four is kind of pushing it, but would be acceptable. I think in this virtual space, folks do want a few more checks and balances. A lot of folks are still doing virtual interviews, right? And some people are uncomfortable operating in that virtual space, so they feel like they want more data points. So they're like, oh, I'm gonna have them talk to my colleague. I want them to talk to the
Mm-hmm.
VP of sales, right? And get their opinion. Oh, let's have them talk to the VP of engineering, and get their feel. And so I think companies should consider whether or not they can again do sort of panel interviews virtually so they can condense those, because we have to think about, like, again, respect for that candidate as well, and how you would feel. Like, again, most of the time we're conducting interviews during the 9 to 5 hours. So folks are having to either take off of work, or if they're in professional roles, they have a little bit of, of leniency or leeway with their schedule. So they can actually hop into a meeting during their workday. But how would you as the employer feel if you knew your employee was taking usually 30 minutes to an hour, 8 different times when they should be working for you, interviewing
Right.
for another company, right? It comes a point where it kind of becomes inconsiderate, you know. So
No, I
I
definitely
think,
agree.
yeah, I think companies should consider that. And again, I think that they miss the fact that they may scare off good candidates because it also kind of is a display that maybe perhaps they're not good at making decisions or quick at making decisions.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
That's my thing out of that. All right,
definitely, definitely.
so something else I've been hearing. I always say that the word on the street, but something else I've been hearing is people that do end up getting hired, but they actually are not familiar with the work. So I've been seeing that on TikTok. I think I've seen it on here too. Like people are submitting their resumes, they're beefing it up, especially with like AI and stuff now, like kind of like fill in the gaps of if they want a particular job, but they actually don't have the skills. So I wanted to hit on that topic as well because I see both sides because people are looking for work, people want to get paid well, and not everyone does that. Even in today's time, like I know there's like a standard like minimum wage payment that people can pay out, especially here in the United States, but honestly, it's not it's honestly not good enough for some people. Like people can't afford stuff. So I see that side and why they're going towards like jobs that actually pay really well for them to sustain in life. But as the employer, if I'm looking for somebody to do a particular job, I expect them to know it. And if they don't know it, it's just kind of like, what do we do from here?
Yeah. Now, Adriana, you are super, super nice. Let's just call a thing a thing. Some of these people are just outright lying on these resumes. And I do know we're in an age where, now we know we can use AI to beef up our resumes, but also we have, professionals that are very, very talented that people can go to write their resumes. So I have a practice whenever I'm interviewing, and it also helps me weed out people because there's some folks that, believe it or not, they actually will have the nerve to kind of get an attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or say, well, don't you have my resume? I make people go through their resume. I make them give me an elevator speech or walk me through their work history
Oh,
because you should be able to speak to what's on this paper. And the reality is, honey, I'm probably interviewing 20 or 30 people that day. Like, I don't know,
mm-hmm.
have a photo memory of your resume, but obviously it was, there were some key things that moved you on to the next step to be able to engage in that first interview. But I always start my interviews off with asking them before we kind of kick things off and get into the interview questions, kind of walk me through your work history and highlight the relevant things that are pertinent to this role where you feel like there's a match or transferable skills.
Okay, that's actually really helpful because I wouldn't have thought to like do some of that.
No,
This
I'm
is
telling
why
you.
you are the HR.
I'm telling you because then and again, you can, like there'll usually be something interesting, that I'll have follow up questions and we can dig into a little bit deeper around with their role. And sometimes I will ask exactly that. Now, what was your role in this project? Because a lot of times folks will speak about they're speaking French. Well,
Hmm.
we rolled out this process, and it was really good. What was your role in it? Right? Because I want to know especially in larger organizations, sometimes things are so siloed. And so people may have worked on a piece of a project, but they haven't worked on it holistically, right?
All
And
right.
especially if they're joining an organization or a role where they are going to be like the sole person, which a lot of companies, because they are tightening their belts, they are, finding efficiencies in their staff and their organization. So they want more holistic, folks that can kind of take a project from beginning to end. So you as the interviewer, you as the hiring manager, it's your responsibility to dive deeper and dig a little bit deeper. And that gives you insight on, again, what this person's exposure was. Because they can have, like, hey, we rolled out um, a $3 million project, that was provided some cost efficiencies for our supply chain, organization, right? And you're like, wow, that's really great. Like, we could really use that in our team or organization. But what if they were just working on the scheduling piece of it and not the strategy, right? They're not going to be able to handle like a large project like that, in all honesty, on their own without the support staff. So, yeah, so we have to dig a little bit deeper as interviewers.
That's good. I was like, glad to have your expertise on that. Cause like I said, interviewing all that good stuff is not my realm.
Yeah, I think that definitely it definitely is a case for why HR professionals are needed. Especially like smaller businesses, they may not have budget, but they're interviewing on their own. I think that's why a lot of I run into, usually, people call when they're at the point where they're frustrated, right? And they can't take it anymore. But especially with smaller companies, I've run into like a lot of business owners and things that have a lot of turnover or they've made bad hires, right? And again, it's just that because they think, there are some simple mechanics with recruiting of, you can go online and find a job description and mirror it and post it and you'll get candidates, right? But there's some other nuances, right? There's a skill to recruiting and being able to really dissect and, and really evaluate who is a right fit for, a role or either for a company from a cultural standpoint as well.
Right. Definitely true.
Yeah,
And I'll even
definitely.
say, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I said definitely.
Oh, okay. Just make sure I was to cut you off. No, but I was like, I'll even agree with that too. Like, especially because, like I said, I help from like the process side. So, like, I take apart like their day to day operation because a lot of times too, these companies are hiring people, and even though people are lying on their resume, they don't necessarily like that's been like another challenge I've been noticing as well. So it's just like I don't even know like how I want to even word that, but like just figuring out like of course the day-to-day operations and stuff, like what are you guys actually doing each day, and also too when it comes to retaining the staff, because I know sometimes like people get fired and stuff, of course, because you're lying on your resume. Like you lied that you could do a job and you couldn't. But from a different standpoint, like when the company actually doesn't really know what they're hiring for or what they need and all that stuff, something I like to encourage them to do too is to not only figure out like what are they doing each day, but also creating processes that can also train people as well to do things how they want to or like work towards their vision. So like even if they don't necessarily know exactly what needs to be done, they at least have like that to go off of for people too. So I just wanted to add in that little nugget as well because that's going on as well.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I see it. I see it all the time. And again, part of it is that, because folks will go out, like you can just go to, like here, LinkedIn, and you can type in a job title, right? And they're just copying job descriptions or job postings that are
Right.
out there. And again, they're not really making it their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the first step. And I think even diving deeper, look, this is, I'm giving away some nuggets. Look, like a good practice, like for interviewers and interview teams is, again, like take that job description and then pull out what are the key competencies. And then you should actually create like a rating grid or scale for those competencies. And again, you should weight it. Like, what is the most important thing, right? So, for a
Mm-hmm.
leader, like, it might not be as much the technical depth of knowledge that you're looking for that's the most important, but it may be the interpersonal skills, right? And the demonstration of ability to lead that you weight higher. And so you can use that as you're talking to folks to rate them and, keep your notes. So you're truly evaluating them against like what the true needs of the role are.
Ooh, that's good. No, I fully agree with that too. Just because, as you know, people are just kind of hiring just to hire. That's really helpful. Thank you for dropping that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's some, again, those are those HR things. Look, I'm here pro HR. I'm bigging us
Yeah.
up today. Um, you know, of
No, that's
why you get us involved, right? Because the layperson, like those things just don't cross their mind. And even with some HR professionals, depending on kind of where they've been in their role, if they've been more tactical and more administrative in scope, um, they haven't had an opportunity to develop those skill sets, right? Only as they kind of grow in their career and they're able to work a little bit more strategically, then they
hmm
begin to, um, develop those skills, and they've developed processes or templates and tools to be able to execute these things effectively.
nah. I fully agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But
And
no,
listen, I got my own little notes too. Like, let me keep this in mind.
I'm telling you. But no, it's an interesting world out here right now, right? Because I think that you know
hmm
there's definitely some work to be done from the companies in their processes and their hiring processes, and maybe even thinking outside of the box with how they do things,
Yes.
right? Um, and I don't know, hopefully in the coming years or what have you, we'll have some evolution of, our recruiting processes. But also, with the candidates, you know, again,
hmm
there's some challenges there for employers, right? Because I've also heard frustrations with companies and HR professionals that, again, like you'll get people that just, they know, like, I don't even think they're reading the job descriptions, but they're
No.
applying for these roles, and it creates so much work for you as the HR person or the recruiter, because you have to shuffle and sift through all of these folks that it's like you're not a fit for this job.
No, they don't. They don't care. 'Cause I was like, even when I had like my agency back in the day, when I always used to look for other virtual assistants and stuff, and like I would like submit stuff or like post like in groups and stuff, like hey, like I'm looking to hire this. They just sent stuff in without even like caring about what the job was. So like I had to start adding like little questions in there just to kind of like throw things off, like not super personal stuff, but like what's your favorite hobby or something like that, just to see if people like actually paying attention or something
Yeah,
like pertains to the job. And at least half the stuff I got in, I ended up just like tossing because I knew they weren't. They were just replying at that point.
yeah, I'm telling you, yeah, it really is something else. It really is, especially you know nowadays. It's kind of, I don't know. I love HR. Like, I love my career because I find such comedy in it. uh, and with people and how people move. But I'm telling you, if you put a job up and you put remote, oh my God, you're gonna get everything, right? It can be a job posting for a cook, and you're gonna get zookeepers, you're gonna get engineers, you're gonna get everything, right? Just because merely they're just, again, people are seeing that remote and they're click and go.
Button. Sorry about that. Hit the
That's okay.
no, but I can imagine that. I was gonna God, I lost my train of thought again about the question. I was like, see, I threw myself off hitting random buttons.
Oh no, I'm
I was gonna
telling
say, so like we know about the interview process. We know people can get fired for not having the right resume or lying on their resume. I was trying to think what was the third one I wanted to bring up. I can't believe I lost my train of thought. Well, that's all right.
you.
Like Lord Jesus, it was like right there. As soon as I hit that button, everything just dropped out of my head. All right. Anyway, so I'll just say thank you so much for sharing all these tidbits because this is really helpful even for me. Because like I said, I can only help but so much from the process day to day, helping them create that side. But like when it comes to HR And there's so much happening in this realm. Like I feel like we can, which we will, we'll continue talking about it. But like for today, we'll stop it here, especially because your voice. I don't
I
want you to
know.
burn out your voice while you're
No,
healing.
thank you. I appreciate it. No, this has been fun. Every time we get together, like it's always we can talk for hours and hours.
I know. I was like, next time will be longer, but I don't want you using your voice but so much. Zanisha, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Feel free to come up if you would like, but otherwise, I will get ready to close out this room. We'll be doing this again in another couple of weeks, and hopefully doing this every 2 weeks. Both of us were sick this past week. So that's
No.
why I kind of like speeding through stuff, but otherwise it will be a little bit longer than this and kind of like talking a little bit more in depth. But I just
And
want to say thank you for sitting through, like listening. I hope she gave some excellent tips for you. And
yeah,
yeah,
and
we
feel
got
free,
here.
anybody, if they catch this, in a later replay or viewing, I'll also share it on my YouTube channel, Lamborghini_C. Like, send in if there's topics. So when we do get together, we want to touch on current topics or events that are happening kind of in the HR and workspace. So,
Yes, please send them in if you have any topics. But otherwise, we'll be back. I gotta check the calendar for the actual date and put it up. But we'll be back in 2 weeks, having more discussions, having more conversations, and I'll see what I can round up from some other people that are dealing with some workplace, not I don't want to say drama, but kind of drama at the same time. Some misplaced culture problems and see what we can talk about and some solutions and stuff as well. So I guess I'll get ready to close out this room. Y'all have an amazing Friday. Rest up, please. And next couple of weeks, we'll be back on top of everything.
yay! All right, look, great catching up with you at the water cooler, Adriana.
Yeah, I will see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, bye.
Bye, everyone.